Hi, Jessyn. Nice to meet you. Thanks for filling our survey out last night. I'm John Lisbon from Seattle Fair Growth. And the reason I came to Seattle in the first place, besides trying to escape my girlfriend, was at the time Seattle was rated the most livable city. It was in Newsweek. And since that time, I feel, and a lot of people feel who've been here, that it's deteriorated significantly in a lot of areas. Like I live in Ballard, tall, out-of-place buildings that are displacing really nice cottages and putting shadows over them. Open park space is insufficient. The road system capacity is kind of maxed out. It's kind of negative, but these things I feel are true. The schools are overcrowded. You're saying 1,000, I don't know about 1,000 people coming every week or day, but there are 1,000 children coming into the school system every year, and it's definitely, overcrowded. And the tree canopies disappearing, and there are thousands of people who are left homeless. So when you go to sleep at night, what do you think about when you think about livability for Seattle? What's your vision of livability, and what are your ideas for maintaining the livability we all love about this area? And try to keep your answer. I've got a couple questions, so if you keep it to a minute or so.
Those are big things. Okay, so what I would say is, first and foremost, I think there are places out there that we don't want to become like. For example, San Francisco is such a beautiful city, but it has become a museum piece where people pay $3,000 for a room. And that is because of planning processes, I think, that haven't really worked in terms of accommodating the growth and the popularity of the city. So to me, livability means intact cultural assets, intact environmental assets, public schools that work for all kids. There are major equity issues, there are major capacity issues, and I can talk specifically about how we do each of those things. I know you gave me a minute. And then a transportation system that works, park systems that work. I mean, cities to me are like people. And there are healthy cities and there are cities that are really suffering. And we have a city that has had a great deal of civic health. There have been some real issues though in the past. I don't want to understate any of those. But it's our job and the job of the mayor to accommodate change in a way, because I do believe that our city has already changed, it's going to keep changing, but to do it in a way that builds on the things that we have and changes to accommodate the next generation of people who want to live here. And I can get specific if you want, but 1 minute was on my mind.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So, for many people in the Emerald City, they equate the Emerald City with trees, and the city's own goals are for the canopy to increase, but it's decreasing. Mandatory housing affordability is not only in the upzones that would come with them, it's not only about height, but it's about density, and there would be, in a lot of cases, lot-to-lot coverage that would displace the trees on these properties. So how do you balance the fact that we want, a lot of people are moving here and they need homes, but from what I've heard, 70 people a day, and then and the need for to keep our environment green.
Yep. Okay. So that's a great question, and I would embed that question around tree cover in the climate crisis that we're also facing. It is very important that we preserve the trees that we have now, because those trees are going to be more resilient as our climate continues to change. So there are a couple things that we can do. One is we have, I think, lot size exemptions for the number of, for whether you need a permit to take a tree down. I think we should decrease that. I think it's currently 5,000 square feet. I think we should change that to a smaller number. Another thing we have in our code is a really broad definition of a hazardous tree. And I think that we should tighten up that definition. We don't want to, unduly burden property rights, but at the end of the day, our tree canopy has a common good that is beyond each one of us. And so I think tightening up that definition of what a hazardous tree means is something that we can do. And finally, there are incentives that we can use, and we can really work with the development community to preserve those trees. I think that that's something that really matters as well.
Okay.
1 minute remaining.
Okay, so quick question. As a parent of a 12-year-old, I see the school capacity issues. Are you a proponent of impact fees? Would you support impact fees? And if so, would you double down on developers with impact fees and MHA? How do you tear those apart?
Yeah. So I do support impact fees on developers. And as I said at the outset, I support growth as well. And so I think that if we are going to accommodate growth and all of the attendant things that come with that, whether it is more kids or more traffic or that kind of thing, we need to make sure that we are funding the services that people need and want. And I really believe, as a public school parent in this race, that our schools need a partner in City Hall. And that doesn't mean, school district takeover by the city. I know that's something that people get nervous about. What I really mean is that the state is going to get to some agreement on McCleary, but that there's a role for the city, and maybe someone will ask me more about it.
Thank you very much.